Thank you for joining us today. Today we will be discussing Microsoft Power BI. This is the second of 4 sessions focusing on the power of BI. Today we will cover as much as possible while allowing our focus to be on Microsoft Power BI data connections. Before we begin, let's learn more about Opel Business Solutions. Opel has approximately 20 team members with a wide variety of technical expertise and certifications. Opel is also a Silver Enterprise Partner and CSP with Microsoft. Opel strives hard to serve as an extension of your team, helping you to design and deliver technology solutions to help you anticipate and overcome business challenges. With 2 offices on the East Coast, Opel provides quick and reliable products and services throughout the entire United States. Opel was able to provide one stop for your technology needs. Whether looking for enterprise-level hardware, SMB equipment, or even certified pre-owned, Opel can provide the equipment to meet your hardware demands. Opel also provides CSP licensing on Microsoft applications, while also customizing any software to meet your custom or out-of-the-box application needs. Finally, Opel's network services team provides the expertise and knowledge to design, upgrade, and support your entire infrastructure while working as an extension of your network IT team. With Opel's team monitoring and maintaining your network, you will have the latest security protection, meet the latest industry standards, and meet verified regulatory and compliance needs. My name is Jay Hess. I'm Vice President of Opel Business Solutions. Let's begin our presentation and learn about Microsoft Power BI data connections. Let's start by asking, what are data connections? Data connections are defined as mobile devices accessing the internet via a cellular system, any transmission of data via wired or wireless communications, any interface through which data is transmitted. Today we are making connections of various different types of sources in order to transfer data to our Power BI desktop. There are many types of connections, but the first one we are going to discuss is file sources. As you can see from the screenshot of the menu within Power BI desktop, you have Excel, text, XML, as well as others that are able to be used. Database connections, which seems kind of obvious, you're connecting to a database to get data. Some of these include SQL, Access, Amazon, MySQL, and more. Power BI also lets you connect to some of its own sources, like data sets and data flows. And since this is an updated screenshot directly from Power BI desktop, you can see that data flows is currently beta. Azure. Azure is everywhere and everything these days, it seems. Power BI gives you the ability to connect to Azure SQL data warehouses, Azure Blob Storage, Azure Lake Storage, Azure HD Insight, Cosmos, and so forth, as well as other Azure data sources. Online services, pretty self-explanatory. These are web-based applications in which you can connect Dynamics 365, Facebook, Google Analytics, MailChimp, as well as some others that are out there. As you can see, the list is quite extensive. And then you have an other category. The other category, you can connect to web, SharePoint lists, ODBC, OData feeds. That was something I connected to in a previous life, and it was quite difficult to connect to. The Power BI makes it very simple. And one not listed on this list under other is blank query, so you can use a blank query to go ahead and access data. In other words, create your own and be able to connect to it. So let's take a look in the system itself on how to make connections. So I'm just going to escape out of that for a moment, out of the presentation. I'm going to copy a link that I want to use for Power BI desktop. And the desktop is going to, Power BI desktop will load momentarily. And we'll be able to see the screen. So I'm going to take a link that I already had here that we'll be able to access just one of the samples of data in order to go ahead and process this. All right, here we go. So if we see that we have our data source here that we want to get data from, it's rather simple. We go ahead from the ribbon, select Get Data, choose from the menu, or select More. More is how I was viewing all of those different options that we had been talking about in the slide presentation. So let's go ahead, select the web. And the web's going to go ahead and give me the opportunity to paste the URL in there. And the reason I'm doing this is the example I'm using today is the NFL draft's coming up. So what if I was curious, you know what, out of all these draft experts that are out there, all the data that they're trying to provide me with, how can I organize it and see, look, who's the best chance of getting drafted first by the Steelers according to the experts, right? So what I can do is you can see that I've connected to that data source. Now I can see there's a document which just kind of tells me what is there. Table 0, ooh, that looks like that's the data I need. Table 1, just an additional table, not really what I'm looking for. So it looks like table 0 is going to be the one I want to utilize. Once I've selected that table, if I select Edit, it'll give me Power Query. Power Query is an entirely different discussion, but it would allow me to fill in a lot of information. So where there are blanks or nulls, I could put maybe no pick or something like that. Just depends. But for this case, for this purpose, we're just talking about data connections. So I want to go ahead and just load it. And what you're going to notice is off to the right-hand side of my screen, when this information loads, I will not see it on my page, but I'm going to start to see these fields appear on the right-hand side of my screen. And that information tells me that these are the fields that are available for me to use and to populate within my grids and my charts. So while that's taking a moment to load, and obviously it depends on the data, your connection, and so forth, we can see that 66 rows of data have loaded. So now I can see this is the information that I have available to me. I don't see any of that information here. If I do want to make sure that it's there, I just check the box. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is as I'm checking the box and putting data into this grid right here, we will also notice that we have the capability that what I'm selecting is the order it's going in. So if I wanted to, I can say, look, you know what, I want to put in the mock draft. So who's making the pick? Who's picking who are they picking in the first round, as we can see here. When did they last update their information on that pick? So maybe a date. And then if I wanted to, I could see, look, second, third picks, whatever. But you get the idea. Now the next thing I can do is I can take that same data and go ahead and start to chart it. I'm not going to get into a lot of information because that's going to be for another, for our reporting training session, which I think is the next one on the list. If not, it's the one right after. So go ahead and click on that, and you can see you get your kind of your generic outline of what is in there. One of the things I know I want to see is the first pick, right? We've already discussed that. And that's not enough information. I also want to see the mock draft. So if I go ahead, now I've selected the information that I want to use in there. Now I need to make sure I put it in the right fields. So let's say I wanted to put the column value as the first pick. So I can see right off the bat, that looks good to me. As far as I'm concerned, these are all the different people that have picked them. But I can see that clearly B. Murray is going to be the overwhelming favorite, followed by D. Bush as who's going to be picked. And you can change this data and choose different reports, as you can see what it does to those reports, and some of them just don't make sense. Like here, each one of these is just a slice. So if I wanted to, I'd have to move this information around a little bit and put to get the information correct. I just wanted to show you how you connect, and then we'll go over reporting in the next one. Now I want to go ahead and I want to create a new connection, because one of the best connections I think that anybody can use this for is probably a connection to let's see here, to Google Analytics. So we're going to go ahead and connect to Google Analytics and show you how easy that is as well. You can see here we have online services, Google Analytics, select connect. And there's going to be a couple things it's going to ask you to. It's telling you that it's connecting to a third-party service. And then beyond that, after we connect to the third-party service, we can see here that we have a few different connections that we can make. Which one do I want to connect to? That's obviously going to be up to you to decide and so forth, but we can see the information. Now, some of the stuff that we've already gone through or connected to, you can see that I've probably already gone ahead and made the connection to this information because I've done this once before. I can go ahead and refresh that data real quick, but it's the same process. At some point, it's going to ask you for the username and password information, which I had already put in, so it remembered that, and you would be able to see that information once you put the email and password in and see all the different types of data and so forth that you're trying to pull in. So here we can see the traffic sources. If I just make a quick connection, it's going to let me know 6,087 organic searches were done. If I want to go ahead and get user data for Google Analytics, same thing, it adds that. If I want to see one-day searches, remove the organic. So you get to pick and choose what data you want to manipulate or use or pull into Power BI to go ahead and utilize for Google Analytics. And so obviously the more information you're concerned with and you're filtering on, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer to process. But I wanted to show you that after you make your connection, which I had already done, and it does ask you for your Google Analytics username, password, and URL, then you're able to determine what type of data you want to pull in and see and utilize for the information. If you don't have something set up within Google Analytics, it will tell you, hey, this is not set up. Please be aware. So you want to make sure that you know what you're using and what you're not using so that you don't spend a lot of time searching for data that you want to display on the screen. All right. So again, it's real easy to make connections. You go to Get Data, select More, and determine what type of connection you would like to make. And once you've determined the type of connection you would like to make, then it's just a simple connect, follow the screen, your data will come in, and then you select which data you want to pull into what reports. So I look forward to our next one where we focus, I believe, more on reporting. But at this time, I do want to go back to the presentation and make sure that it looks like it's time for questions and answers. So if anybody has any questions and answers at this time, I'd be glad to go over those with anybody. I don't think there were any questions that were being asked at this time. So at this time, I'm just going to remind everybody to remember to look for our monthly newsletter sent out the 4th week of the month, as well as our Microsoft email sent the 1st week of the month. And that will help keep you updated on the latest tips, tricks, and features from Microsoft. And thank you, and please remember to look for this video and others on the Opel YouTube channel. Thank you, and have yourself a great day.